Jonathan Majors, Marvel actor, the lead antagonist in Creed 3, very famous and burgeoning movie star, definitely an A-lister. He was found guilty today of assault and harassment. Now, we've talked about this case in the past, and the last time that we talked about this case in conjunction to other instances where men have been falsely accused of committing crimes against women, we did not have the CCTV footage or the other evidence that was that the court had at their disposal that were released about 4 days ago. And it shows Jonathan Majors being harassed by his ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari. And it's really interesting because when everybody in the Manosphere, everybody on YouTube that supports Jonathan Majors or supports justice just in general, everybody was like, including women, Jonathan Majors is innocent. This is a travesty. We need to start prosecuting women for filing false police reports and accusations. And I remember being in the comments section of one of the YouTube videos, and I said, Jonathan Majors will be found guilty. It doesn't matter how much evidence there is, and we're going to avoid the racial component, but we're just going to call it like it is. This is a woman in 2023 against a straight man in 2023. The straight man will lose every single time.
So it's definitely an interesting case to see how this has played out thus far. I'm a little bit confused by the verdict when you watch the CCTV. I mean, we'll let it play while we're talking about it. But this man is, like the beginning of the video, right? Where he shoves her into that SUV, what looks like. I'm not excusing that behavior. But if she was fearful for her life, right? Would you be chasing this dude down like multiple blocks? Right? Really getting that cardio in, trying to hit those miles for the week. Like, she was after him. And
he was using long strides too, Cap.
Dude, form was phenomenal, I have to say. Probably a former track star. But this is what I'm going to have to say, though. He's not criminally at fault, in my personal opinion, but he's still at fault for the situation. You got to show some dick discipline. You can't be sticking your dick in crazy. You just can't.
I think that this is definitely a situation that us men can still learn a lesson from, because obviously the first thing you're going to think is, well, if you're a man in modern society, especially here in New York City, where there is a clear agenda bias for certain groups and against other groups, you have to understand that even in past years where they would say to you, hey, don't hit her back, get her away from you and run away.
That's what
Which
he did.
is what Jonathan Majors did, because the shove was so he can get away from her. So he's running down the street to get away from her. And of course, and I think I said this earlier today, with a shout out to Coach Greg Adams. Coach Greg Adams had a live stream today. And I said in the comments, I said, Jonathan Majors harassed her attempt to harass him. And that's what he's guilty of. Like, he made her run all those blocks when he should have just stood there and let that woman do and say whatever she wanted.
According to the district attorney, Majors could have been running. Hell, I honestly believe this. If she just was like chucking knives at him, right? She would have been lit off with no punishment, absolutely. And he would have been fined for littering. It just seems like that is the case in this scenario.
If he would have been bleeding, you're guilty for misdemeanor bleeding on my city streets.
That's public,
Mr. Majors.
That's public urination, Mr. Majors. You can't have that. So it's, to me, as someone watching this case, I don't understand how the judge can come down with the conclusion they did. I just think they're in there.
Well, it was a jury trial, Cap.
Oh, jury. You're
a
right.
6-member jury. I've never even heard of that before.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. It was a jury trial. If you watch that CCTV, in what way should he ever be found guilty?
Well, if you go back to October, this is when I knew the fix was in, Cap. If you go back to October, the NYPD arrested and charged Miss Jabari. Do you know why?
Why?
They charged her because they saw evidence that she had committed assault and criminal mischief. Now, here's the thing that really got me, Cap. And this is when I knew that there was going to be no justice here. That's why I don't call it the justice system, Cap. I call it the legal system. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office said that Grace Jabari would not be prosecuted if she were arrested. So when do we have in society, Cap, we just go around just arresting people for fun? Why do you think she was arrested, Cap? Check this out, Cap. Check this out. Jonathan Majors filed a DV counter complaint against Jabari in June, which triggered the investigation. Now, the DA's office said that they've officially declined, as of the 26th of October, to prosecute the case against Ms. Jabari because it lacks prosecutorial merit. The matter is now closed and sealed. But then when you listen to Jonathan Majors' attorneys talk about it, this was a really powerful statement, in my opinion, and a statement of people saying that it was at odds with the NYPD's decision to arrest Jabari after a, quote, thorough and lengthy investigation, end quote. So his attorney goes on to say that the prosecutor's decision is a serious injustice that raises grave questions about the impartiality and transparency of the prosecutor's discretion, due process, and, drum roll please, equal protection under the law. Yeah. So the DA said that we don't care about the police's investigation into this matter. No matter what the investigation uncovers, we're not going to hold her accountable. If she committed a crime, we don't care.
But we
have targeted this straight man here in New York City. Here is a woman who is making a complaint. We hashtag believe all women. We don't believe evidence. We don't believe thorough and complete investigations by one of the most well-funded police organizations on planet Earth. Yeah. No, we don't care about any of that. We've already decided that we're not going to prosecute on the evidence. We are going to prosecute on what we feel like.
Honestly, outside of there being some type of video that we have not seen or is kept secret, which I know probably doesn't even exist. But
it doesn't, because the court dumped all the evidence, Cap.
All right, right. I'm saying like some fucking hard drive in East Guam hidden away that just magically comes out and it just shows Majors just going to town and beating the crap, right? Whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't exist. It is laughable to see exactly what's happened because clearly, like, am I excusing the shove? First off, just...
I am. You need to get her off of you so you can run.
No, you slip, you duck, you die. Like, you saw his track, so like hurdle over. But I'm just dead serious, though. You can't even lay a finger, right? You can't even shove now, right? And regardless, you're kind of fucked.
You can't even run, Cap. They found him guilty of harassment. He's running away from her.
I'm not blaming him. I'm just laughing.
I'm just saying, Cap. Like, this shit is laughable at this point. And this brings us to the lesson portion of the video, y'all. And after I bring up what the lesson is, I'm going to let Cap take over. Guys, the decisions that you make when you go to get into any sort of relationships with women in modern times. And we've already seen a lot of guys are saying, about half of men in our age group are saying that they're not even interested in casual experiences with women. They'd rather be left alone because they're at a constant disadvantage in our modern society. So when you ladies are asking, where did all the good men go? And why doesn't anybody want to commit? And why doesn't he want to get married? And why aren't guys approaching me in the street? Look to stuff like this because men are paying attention. Now, Cap, you wanted to talk about the fact that we need guys to have more dick discipline, right?
I mean, it's just, you know, no one cares who the fuck I am. But I'm just gonna be honest, give you a quick little backstory, right? I've had my handful of experience of crazy women, and I've talked about it on the channel, right? You have to know like when not to stick your dick in crazy. If a woman is showing red flags, you don't walk away. You do this. You do the Majors run. You just sprint down them blocks and you fucking avoid that altogether because she was showing some massive red flags.
Yep.
And
she
due
did.
Due to men, let's just be honest, wanting to get busy, we're just ignoring all that shit and just going in. Fuck it. No, you know what? I'm gonna think with the wrong head here in this situation. You gotta be disciplined, and you have to find somebody that has the same moral values. In my personal opinion. Now, I'm glad I'm out the dating game because the shit's garbage. Shit's trash. I got very lucky to find, my wife.
Well, Jonathan Majors thought that he was out of the dating game too.
Well,
he thought he was.
Definitely not out the track game. My man's on point. But I think when it kind of comes down to it is like, you got to make sure your girlfriend, the person you're going to get engaged, married, whoever, like whatever phase you're at, that they're mentally stable and that they have your back. In a situation like this, where now this guy's guilty of a very, very serious offense and it's going to follow him for the rest of his life, and the reputation he has.
They're misdemeanors, Cap.
Yeah,
he was convicted of misdemeanors, and his whole career is now destroyed.
Yeah, it's fucked up because regardless what the evidence is, regardless of what actually happened, that's always going to be on him. That's always going to be associated with him. We've seen it in cases where, like with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. I think Johnny Depp, to be fair, he's essentially exonerated pretty much, but that's very rare.
Well, also he's a very, very good-looking white man as well. According to he had the feminists on his side, because this kind of ridiculousness here, you can make the case that Jonathan Majors did less to defend himself than Johnny Depp did. You can make that case,
and I agree with you to a certain extent. I think that because of his status, it helped exonerate him quicker.
Yeah, because all the white women were like, "Oh my God, Johnny Depp is so pretty. Oh, justice for Johnny."
But with Majors, like, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, he's a movie star. I really didn't know of his name. I know of his roles. I just don't know of the actor himself. So he's big, but to an everyday person like me, like I knew Johnny Depp, right?
Right.
I didn't really know Johnny. Like I didn't really know Majors, and that's not no disrespect. He's a fantastic actor. When DEG told me the roles, I'm like, oh wow, he's really fucking good in that. That's who that was. There's just different levels to that.
So you're telling me, Cap, that the real reason why you didn't know who he was because Johnny Depp,
I know the fucking Pirates of the Caribbean. That's pretty much all we know.
Right. So you know who, but you don't know who Denzel Washington is. You don't know who.
I know Denzel Washington.
You don't know who Hart is. You don't know any of these.
I know who Kevin Hart is. No, don't be racist. Don't be racist. Don't be racist. Denzel Washington's a legend. Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, like, listen, don't start.
Yeah, I'm just giving you shit, Cap.
I know you're giving me shit because we here at TSP, well, the court system might not care about you. We do. So if you want to, have more dialogue, like we cover a range of topics, but we'd also want to know your thoughts down below in the comment section about this whole situation. What do you think? Do you think Major's career is completely destroyed? Will he be able to reclaim any of his former glory? I think that'd be very interesting to see in the comments. Anything else to add before we get out of here?
Guys, we don't advocate for the hub or fans and all that stuff, but when you're looking at the current state of society, it might be safer to give bitcoins to thoughts at this point. I don't know. Like, I know it sounds.
No, let's not go that far. Let's not go that far, gentlemen.
I don't know, man. It's not looking good for City Boys. We like 10,000 points down.
So, well, I'm Captain Paul. That's Dr. Evil Genius, and we'll see you in the next one.
Barney, I got a domestic charge. Gotta run from these charges. Yeah, my fucking pebbles.